I loved hearing you sing in all these years, and you were on the Midwestern Hayride.
Yes, that's why I came there. I was on the Midwestern Hayride first.
Chicago?
No, Cincinnati.
Cincinnati.
I was working in Kansas City, and they were looking for a girl yodeler, and at WLW. And it's a long story. Do you want me to make it long or short?
Whatever you want. You can do whatever you want.
No. But anyway, the man, Mr. McCluskey, who named me Bonnie Lou because he is Scotch-Irish. My name was Sally Carson in Kansas City at KMBC. And he was talking on the train to another man. He said, you know, I'm looking for a girl yodeler. And he said, well, we have one in Kansas City. He said, would you, here, take my name, write it down. And he said, have her call me. And I did. And he said, send me a tape. And I did. And then I came to WLW. I was only 17 years old at that time, and I signed a 5-year contract with KMBC, and that was why they changed my name, because of legality, you know, legal. But anyway, they changed it from Sally Carson. They didn't like, my real name is Mary Joanne. I was named after my grandmother.
I'm confused here already.
I know you are. No, and, but Mary is my grandmother's name, and Joe is my grandfather's name. So Mother just added the Ann on it,
yes.
Mary Joanne. And since Social Security, all my checks say Mary Joanne, too.
We've got an old kinescope. A kinescope is before we had videotape. And basically, that was just a movie of what was on the TV. Wasn't that basically what it was? So this is going back, how many years to the Hayride? We're going back to 50-something?
Yes, I think around 57.
And you're going to hear Bonnie Lou sing The Answers Blowing in the Wind, and we're going to play a little part of this, and we'll come back. But you've got to hear Bonnie Lou play the banjo and sing yodel, and we're going to do that too. So from the Hayride, 1957, here's Bonnie Lou and The Answers Blowing in the Wind.
How many roads must a man walk down before you call him a man? Yeah. How many seas must a wild dove sail before he sleeps in the sky? Oh, how many times must the cannonball fly before the forever man? The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
There was a host on that network of stations named Paul Dixon, and he was a character, huh?
Yes, he was.
Paul
But he was
Baby.
Paul Baby Dixon. Here he is, Paul Baby. That was what Colleen and I would do. We would introduce him each morning, and we did that for nearly 20 years.
No
we were
kidding.
together. Colleen joined us, what, like 10?
Yes.
10 years later, but we were together 20 years on that morning.
You were
show.
known for not only fine singing, but you were also known for banjo playing, which we're going to hear in a minute, and yodeling.
Yes.
Are you born with the gift of yodeling, or are you scared in infancy, or what?
I was scared in infancy.
How do you learn to do that?
Yeah. No, my grandmother came from Switzerland, and Gami would do some little yodeling out. Not the fancy yodeling. I go, you know, like that. But and I don't know where it comes from. The Lord gave me that gift from Gami, and I call her Gami. And then when I would go out after the cows in the evening, Colleen laughs at me, but I'm always honest. And that's where I learned to yodel, because I was embarrassed, you know. And finally, my mother said, you've got to learn play the violin. And so I did. I took violin lessons. She'd lock me in the parlor and make me practice that crazy violin. But I'm glad, because I learned to read music. But then my dad went to the pawn shop and bought me a guitar for $5. And I mean to tell you, those strings are so far away from the frets, you know. But I would walk walk to Mr. Rarick's house every Saturday, about 2.5 miles each way. So it's about 5 miles on a Saturday to learn the basic chords. Because if you're determined, if you want to do something, believe me, you'll do it. And I did. I wanted to sing and yodel, because then I was starting to yodel some, and my mother encouraged me, and my father, and they would take me around to festivals in those days, and I would win maybe, $2, $5, and so that's how it all started. Then I started singing on WJBC in Bloomington, Illinois, because my father was I guess you would call a tenant farmer. He shared, with the crops with somebody else who owned the farm, and so that's how I got my experience, from festivals and then singing in Bloomington on WJBC. And I did that until I graduated.
How do you yodel? Give me a yodeling lesson.
It's a little early in the morning now, Reverend. Believe me. Bless your heart. I started that a little high. Colleen, we've had great times together, she and I.
Can you yodel?
No, I don't have the right equipment. Now, you used to teach Bob Ron how to do that.
Yeah, well, I'd
Maybe
look down.
you could teach Pastor Spencer.
See, there's a special little thing that goes up and down in the back of your throat.
There is?
Yeah.
That's what I told Bob Ron anyway. And, but, I don't think I better try it this morning. I'm doing some for you.
Well, that's wonderful.
All right,
That's wonderful.
a little bit.
Well, let's hear you sing. Let's go back to the Paul Dixon show.
All right.
And you've got the banjo strapped on there, and you're singing Gotta Travel On.
All right.
Let's see it.
Okay.
Now, this is the second song 19 years ago today that Bonnie Lou did. And then after this, we have a special guest that we're going to introduce to you. Okay, here she is, Bonnie Lou, ladies and
Travel
gentlemen.
on. All right, this is the whole orchestra. Yeah, here we go, folks. I've laid around and I've played around this old town too long. Summer's almost gone, yeah, winter's coming on. I've laid around and I've played around this old town too long, and I feel like, well, I gotta travel on. Papa rides to Johnny, oh, Johnny can't come home. Johnny can't come home, no, Johnny can't come home. Papa rides to Johnny, well, Johnny can't come home. He's been down on that J-Gang too long. Well, I've played around and I've played around this old town too long. Summer's almost gone, yeah, winter's coming on. I've played around and I've played around this old town too long, and I feel like, well, I gotta travel on. Yeah, yeah.
Big hit record too back in those days. At least one, 7 Lonely Days.
Yes.
And others.
Right, and Tennessee Wigwalk.
Any chance we can get Couple bars of that?
Which one?
7 Lonely Days?
Oh.
Or the other one, too.
No. One's enough, Reverend. Reverend Betzler, I should say. Let's see. 7 lonely days make one lonely week. 7 lonely nights make one lonely me. Ever since the time you told me we were through, 7 lonely days I cried and cried for you.
Bravo. Oh, that was
That's
a big hit. On these shows, you had a live audience. You had a live band, kind of a forerunner to some of the Tonight Show, Letterman show that we have today.
Regis and Kathy Lee type show.
Yeah.
That's what I say Paul Dixon show was more like.
Yeah.
Regis and Kathy Lee to a certain extent.
Yeah.
And, well, Mr. Letterman, you remember, he was a setup boy in Indianapolis.
Is that right?
And he emulated a lot of what Paul Baby did. He gave the ham away, you know, when Paul Baby used to give the salami away, the big salami.
Kosher with kosher
'Cause I'm
salami.
sure all those dear people out there who were in our era don't remember the big salami that Paul Baby would give away. And Dave Letterman gave the ham away.
The ham away. That's right.
Because I did his, I don't know, Bonnie, if you remember this, but I did Dave Letterman's radio show
Did
in
you really?
Indianapolis.
Did you really?
And did not remember who he was because he had long hair and a full beard. And several years later, he called after he had become a big star. We were in Indianapolis doing a remote show. We used to go to all the big auditoriums during ratings and do the show live. And because he was such a big Paul Dixon fan, they said, Colleen, you will go out and do a radio show. And it was early, it wasn't even daylight. It was early in the morning, and they drove me out there, and I said, well, you better turn on the radio so I can at least hear this guy, you know. And so they turned on the radio, and I listened, and I thought, this guy is so funny. What is he doing in Indianapolis? Shortly after that, then he became a big star. But I didn't remember that, didn't even remember his name. He called later one day to WLW and asked to speak with me. I said, I don't know David Letterman. And they said, well, he knows you. So we talked on the telephone, and then the light came on. I began to remember this man with the long hair, full beard, and a space in his teeth. And I thought, oh, it was David Letterman, and I had not even remembered his name.
Well, it's been such a great time to have you ladies on the program today. What are you doing now, Bonnie Lou?
What am I doing now?
Yeah.
Well, you know, when Paul Baby passed away, I decided, my father was very ill, Illinois, and I was supposed to go on the Bob Braun show. And I made my decision at that time, and that was a big decision too,
Yes,
Colleen,
it was.
that I was not going to go on with television. I was going back and help take care of my father, and my daughter was in California. I hadn't seen her because when you're in television, that's your life, believe me. 24 hours a day. I don't care, go to the grocery store, whatever. You're representing WLW. And I decided after all those years that I was going to just be Mrs. Milt Oakham, help take care of my father. And you know, that's what I've been doing ever since. Trying to be a good wife and a good mother, and whenever Connie needs me. And then we came down here, and the men bought a little piece of land there, and 6 of us built this condo. 3 up and 3 down. We're upstairs, so it's a little rough on my knee right now, but that's all right. It's good for me, but to walk those steps. But that's what we do, Reverend Betzer. We're in Cincinnati in the summertime, and we're here in beautiful Cape Coral in the wintertime.
This has been such a fun program today, and with Bonnie Lou and with Colleen. And
Dear Colleen.
what precious memories from the days gone by. Thank you. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching. Good night, everybody.
Bye.